This is What a week.
What a week. PoliTricks.
Eta, welcome to Wow What a Week, hashtag PoliTricks. This week on the show, Tony Yengeni, MKP second deputy president, women taking charge in Ireland and Namibia, the old guard, new power, global storms colliding, plus chaos in Rio, age wars in Africa, and China's crackdown on influencers. Wow, what a week in politics. What's on? Welcome.
Thank you, Fresh. Yeah, Keshabu, bra. I think we will forever, for in few months to come, have a standing item on the Madlanga and the Adhoc committee. That's going to be our standing item because there's a lot of drama happening every week.
Absolutely.
Yes, bro.
Now, this happened literally at the tail end of last week.
Yes. Yeah.
The announcement that Tony Yengeni has defected to the MKP, and he is the second deputy president at the Umkhonto weSizwe party.
Yes.
But I am going to say I am not surprised. I'll tell you why I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember at the time, Ubaba was appealing his expulsion from the ANC.
Yes.
Tony was his representative and spokesperson.
Yes.
I think it was at the DC, if I'm not mistaken.
DC appeal.
Absolutely. So now for me, that already said there's a relationship here that probably goes beyond this DC. So I'm not surprised that we're being told that Tony has jumped ship.
Well, I'm not surprised as well because I follow Tony Yengeni in what you call it, on X. And I think we are on 2 or 3 WhatsApp groups, political WhatsApp groups.
Yes.
And I could see his comments and all that. He has been a very vocal person.
What's the climate in the WhatsApp groups that you have in common with Tony? What's the climate been since this move?
One thing that I've picked up is that many people are not surprised.
Sure.
But also because he has been vocal about criticizing the current ANC leadership. Within those groups and also within the ANC, NEC. He differed with them. And I think the advantage that Tony Yengeni had is that he's not an MP. He's a member of the NEC, very influential, one of the trained guerrillas of Umkhonto weSizwe. But he has been having a personal as well as professional relationship with President Zuma for many years. He has been one of the people who has been on the side of Jacob Zuma, or the so-called faction of Jacob Zuma in the ANC. So it didn't catch people up by surprise. But one thing that I've noticed in one group that I also know there are people there, I think it's the biggest WhatsApp group I belong to. And it's who of South African politics, not only from ANC.
Sure.
Various people. And one thing I picked up there are people who are just there to read and listen and make notes.
Yes.
We are almost 1,000. We were 1,200. They were now almost 800. Some have left.
Yes.
Majority of the people, they don't comment. That people like me who are politically non-aligned, we just talk everything. But one thing...
Yeah, because we're in another group near you
Yeah.
with a whole bunch of other people in politics. And
yes.
often the political stuff you will lead. Malcolm X will come in.
Yeah.
And a handful of other people.
Yes.
Everyone else is just reading.
Everybody's just reading.
Eli Brad.
So, but one thing I've picked up is there are people in that group, that particular group that I know, they are aligned into the so-called Zuma faction in the ANC, and they used to comment generally about happiness in the country. Some are in the cabinet, they've withdrawn, not out of the group, but they are now quiet.
Sure.
Because the ANC is expecting, and I think they should expect much number of people to can defect to Umkhonto weSizwe. And I think this was planned well by Jacob Zuma. When he left, I think he left people in various structures of the African National Congress to be the ears and the eyes, or his ears and eyes. Especially when you are in the NEC, you get critical decisions that are made by the NEC.
I was going to say, surely it's not easy then for the ANC, especially within the NEC, to have certain conversations because you don't know who's in a Trojan horse
Exactly.
within the party.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
You don't know. I mean, it's bad enough even with Julius. I mean, there are people from the ANC that feed Julius information.
This and quite critical information, very important information. Some are in government, they are not necessarily in the ANC, but senior government officials. I can tell you, fresh with my experience in government and differences with politicians or political employees, there are people in government who will give me first-hand information, not because it's political, because they are afraid to release it. Understand? Because they will be passive. Yes, you understand? So it happens a lot. That's how politics play.
Yes.
I mean, for example, President Zuma went out public last week on the same platform where he announced Tony Yengeni the second deputy president. And what I liked about what President Zuma is doing, he's a ceremonial president. Actually, he has left these young people to run the organization, and I think they're doing well. But he, on the same platform, he announced that that's not the only one. We have many people there. Even Loma Shatile, meaning the deputy president of the ANC, the country, is one of, we have put him there to guard against Ramaphosa. And for me, I think he threw a spanner in the works. He has put a storm in Paul's sight.
I was going to say, even Mashatile we put in the comment is, do you think it's exactly as he says it? Or do you think he was just shaking the tree to see if the hornets are going to get busy?
Yeah, I think it's both fresh, and I'll tell you why. One, I think they banked on him to remove Cyril Ramaphosa earlier on the first term. They banked on Paul Mashatile when he took over from the late deputy president, what is his name, David Mabuza. They banked that Paul Mashatile with the Gauteng gang will come, because they were never on the side of Ramaphosa, if you recall, or side of Zuma. They were seeing themselves as the ANC. But he started being loyal and focusing on the ANC, would not push in the controversies agenda. And I think in him saying such statement, President Zuma is actually shaking the tree.
Sure.
And look, there's been challenges in white capital and as well as people inside the ANC who have been saying Mashatile must not be an automatic replacement of President Ramaphosa. That culture and practice of the ANC, it didn't serve them well. They need fresh, new blood. There are names coming out for him to be contested, not to be an automatic successor. And I think this has worsened the situation for him. But Birdie in my ear had said to me, they are actually negotiating with all the allegations of corruption against Deputy President Mashatile. There's even negotiations to say if he can take over the way Mokante did, to be the acting for a certain period. Because remember, a month ago,
transition period.
A month ago, there were talks of headache for the ANC. Ramaphosa may resign after the G20. And Mashatile must take over that way, but then not to contest later.
So I can transition
Yes.
and walk off into the sunset with all the benefits.
Exactly, with all the benefits, you understand? Then we won't disturb you, we didn't contest anybody. But look, there's leadership crisis in the ANC, and people don't have confidence in the current ANC leadership. Tony Yengeni will add experience in controversies, but he's also on pension age, or just about to getting to, pension age. Actually, he's above 60. But I think he will bring a lot of experience, and he's one of the trusted people around Jacob Zuma. One can mention a few. Look, if you recall what used to be called the Premier League, I mean, we still have the former Premier of the Northwest, Mahuma Pelo, still in the end, and he's one of the best performing DPs of ANC into Parliament. He's the chairperson of a committee. He's doing a very good job. And he's like, look at what has come out now in the Madlanga Commission, Alice. His name actually has been cleared by the corruption of people like Brian Mogotsi, who decampaigned him. Actually, the way Suprema Umapelo was removed in the Northwest, people are calling it a coup today.
Yes.
That does not, it was funded by, allegedly by Ket Matlala using Brian Mogotsi, and Senzo Mkuni was deployed as the ANC what do you call it, the Cyril Ramaphosa CR17 finance manager at the time. And you remember how Senzo Mkunu required us to dismantle and dislocate Suprema Umupelo and his team. So people are calling it a coup at the moment because of the way he was removed. But it's a challenge the ANC is faced with. thumbs up to Tony Yengeni and controversy.
Now, the MKP have this almost fresh movement, energy, identity about them. How much of it pivots on ANC veterans? And if those veterans were not steering the MKP ship, would it still be the party it can be?
Veterans in this sense, the Veterans League or
Yes.
yes, in the ANC.
Whether Tony or Uvaba.
Look, I think
Would they survive without the ANC veterans that have jumped ship?
I don't think they would survive because we have seen quite a number of political formations coming in South Africa, breaking away from the ANC. Like, look at the EFF. It was absolutely young people. On the veterans, who call, and he, for me, was not even a veteran. Dalimpofu was the eldest person to have left the ANC into the EFF. We have seen what happened with Comm. I think MKP is much more solid because of the veterans that have moved to the other side. But it's also the veterans that people who were outside the ANC looked upon them or liked them or saying these are better leaders in the ANC. We should not underestimate or undermine the support and the love that Jacob Zuma enjoys from South Africans. Whether as a charismatic person or as a politician, especially among the black population. And I think it's helping them. It's helping them to dislocate the ANC. Because remember, the elephant in the room, it's not to say political parties are performing bad. It is because they've been failing to dislocate the ANC and to sustain that. You understand? The EFF has so far been the most successful. They were showing growth until the last elections. And for various reasons. And with their departure in the EFF of Floyd Shivambu, I think is going to turn the EFF more. But also Floyd Shivambu also, again, is suffered 2 losses to MKP. 2 of the ladies, one of them is his former second deputy president, has went back to MKP. And guess what came out when she left Maibue Africa last week? She still went to Baba and said, by the way, I never relinquished my MKP membership because MKP is the only political party in South Africa that allows dual membership. But this dual membership story, do you see where it's going? It's people going to disrupt on the other side or to spy on the other side. To say, but I'm still a member of MKP. That's the policy. So it's up to other parties to accept, to say, when you come join us, relinquish your membership of MKP. But who said if one relinquishes it, can be an arrangement?
Yeah, me having a membership card doesn't mean I'm a member. It doesn't mean my heart and soul is wrapped.
Yes. You understand? So I think MKP is playing this very wisely and very nicely. We should watch them and fresh. I mean, MKP WhatsApp groups as well. They are waking the crowd. You see, the ANC and other politics, they are being diverted by the commissions and the Adhoc committee and the infighting. ANC is already stressing about the successor to Ramaphosa, and local government elections are actually 11 if we go according to the law. Because they're supposed to be next year around October. They're 11 or 12 months away.
I think I'll start in November, yeah.
Understand? So if I was a political leader in South Africa, I will be focusing on building local government capacity.
Sure. Yeah. Let's move to the Adhoc committee that's looking into corruption within the police service. The lineup for November includes Second Deputy Minister Bushielo, current Acting Police Minister, Chief of Staff, and Brian Mogotsi, whose name keeps popping up.
Yes, I think in all the people...
And there was a deadline initially, most of 28 November.
28 November, yes. On, what was it, sometime during the week, I think on Wednesday or Tuesday evening when they closed up, the chairperson, Soviet Lepanian of the Adhoc committee, indicated that there is a possibility that they will not reach up that envisaged date of the 28th of November. And he explained primarily what could be the cause. He said, because despite the lined up witnesses, and we'll come to the witnesses he just mentioned, They have over 250 public submissions.
And probably counting.
And probably counting. And I think after he said that, and they are going to be considered, it has encouraged people who had not done the submissions to say, oh, so the government is going to consider us as private citizens. We can write anonymously, you can volunteer to go and present information. Like people like, you remember Tammy, Malcolm X, they said they will go there and present. There's quite a number of people who said they want to go to the commission and present. But very important, and you will recall fresh what I said at the beginning of this whole saga with the police and the justice and the cartels, criminal cartels. I said, for me, the most important and legally binding, legitimate, it's not the commission, because the commission is existing at the behest of the President of the Republic, but it is the Adhoc committee, because that committee, it's a merge of 3 committees of Parliament, and it is the representatives of the people.
Yes.
So to have witnesses of the alleged involved people in this whole police and criminal syndicate saga, and you don't hear the voice of ordinary citizens who have experienced police brutality, police wrongs, families losing their kids, families, cases falling apart in front of the NPA or the court, those voices are very important. And MPs represent those voices. So I think the date of the 28th of November, it is fair. I will not lament if they extend it for the benefit of the nation and for the people to can go and present their stories as well. But with the 3 or 4 names that we have mentioned, I don't think the Adhoc committee is going to get a lot from Deputy Minister Bushielo. He's new. He became a deputy minister during the current administration. And except like the deputy minister who was there last week, the former premier of Limpopo, Castles Matale, he has been a deputy minister of police for 6 years. Understand? And that's another thing that one never understood politically. You had a deputy minister, who was a deputy minister full term in the previous administration, 6. You appoint ministers in administration 7. This man has 5 years experience sitting there. Why didn't President Ramaphosa appoint Kazal Matali? Yes, I know he's not from his faction or grouping, but why not him? That's first part. The second part is, even when the minister is placed on special leave, you still go and get somebody from outside, like Mr. Kashali. I'm not taking anything from Professor Kashali, but you have somebody who has been there for 6.5 years. Sure. And why not use...
Are you saying he should have bumped him up?
Should have up like he did with Butima Namel and education. You understand? But again, it's factional politics that play the role. And then also I don't think the professor will have much to say. He's going to talk, and it's one day, they're scheduled for 1 day each. I think he's going to talk about what he observed and what he experienced in the last few months he has been in office. But again, that... Professor Kashalia this week traveled with President Ramaphosa to Malaysia. Yes, it's official. Yes, there's a conference. But we've got crisis of police here. Why would the minister leave? Why would the minister travel overseas? Because he was brought in to come in.
Deal with this.
Stabilize this thing. And then he's overseas for a week and all those. I found it.
Maybe he can take policing notes in Malaysia. All the rest of it.
Yes, maybe he was there because it was also a security conference.
Exactly.
And things like that. It's probably to take notes. But said the deputies who lamented, Deputy Minister Kazal Mata lamented that he has been in office for 15 months. He has not been allocated duties. We are paying that man 2.2 million for bodyguards between Cape Town, between Tswane, vehicles, 2 houses, and he has not been allocated work. What is he doing every day? You understand? And I don't think it's fair on them as deputy ministers, but I also don't think it's fair on us as citizens that we've got, members of cabinet that or the executive correctly so that don't have work to do. But the last mentioned, I don't think it's the last one. Remember the president was mentioned also that he may be called, and that Julius Malema last week said maybe we should even call Madlanga in here. I don't think it will work. I've applied my mind after we spoke about it last week. I don't think Julius's request will work because Mr. Madlanga is facing criminal allegations for the same things and it's before the court. So it's going to be very difficult because the matter is prejudice
Sub judice.
Yeah, sub judice, you understand? So that's the challenge. But Brian Mokgotsi is going to be a very interesting witness. He is that man, I call him a runner. He's in the middle of everybody. Understand? Everybody, the name Brian, as we said, has been coming over and over and over. And linking that to the Madlanga Commission, something very interesting happened in the Madlanga Commission on Thursday, just after we separated from the radio. And when you are looking off, I switched to another station and listening to the commission. You know, Fresh, when on the 6th of July, Lieutenant General Luphanazi said something that I think it slipped our minds, that there is even a recording, very lengthy recording of Mr. Matlala confessing to some of the things the time he was arrested. And witness C was back on the seat, this wing. And witness C was the one who recorded Mr. Matlala. And Mr. Matlala was away.
Yes.
Because that's after he was arrested, when he arrived at the police station, according to witness C, he said, guys, let me sit down in the office before you lock me up and tell this thing.
Ah, yes.
And they said they played a clip of about 25 seconds from that recording. My brother, the man was singing.
He told Canary vibes.
Yeah, he told everything. Dates, figures, who got what. Two important things that he said. So he corroborated what Lieutenant General Nkwanas said about how he paid General Biya. $500,000, and the money was being delivered because General Biya allegedly did not want cash. Did not want bank transfers, so he wanted cash. And they mentioned a surgery, Nkosi, who was the run-up for Biya to collect the money, and all that is on record. You know what I think is going to happen, Fresh? If I apply my criminal brains or investigative brain, looking at how the state has denied or has the MJ has successfully made sure the court denies Mr. Matlala bail, and when you look at the gravity of his charges and the number of his, because they are measuring 2 dockets now, okay, and also it's not only bribery, it's not only corruption or attempted murder, and also being associated to murder. That's quite a lot. That's level 6 on criminal offense, the highest level we have in South Africa. I think he's looking at multiple life sentences in prison. And the only thing that can save him now is to turn a state witness. So he must turn against all these people. And I think he's going to go that route. If Brian Mokgotsi is going to come out to the Adhoc committee and to the Madlanga Commission and tell the truth and expose all these people, because this whole thing about the police, if you listen to witness say at the Madlanga Commission and what Brian Mokgotsi has been saying accurately to the media, this whole thing had to do with the fact that Kurt Matlala wanted police protection. It came out that he even went and met at his house in Blue Valley in Midrand the former police commissioner Riots. A first time, despite the statements by General Trele, first time Maria Pierre's name has been mentioned, directly linking to say Matlala went to meet her out of frustration because Mkhunu was no longer helping Biya. They had promised him that his 346 odd number million is safe for the Temisa Hospital, and part of that money is being alleged that it went to the Mkhunu campaign for the presidency of the ANC. It went to Biya personal.
So this is witness C.
This witness C says all these things, and he even mentioned who was collecting money, a sergeant. Now came the question of the day they went to search and arrest KT Molete. Who is this person that actually called the police? Understand? And people are forgetting. Our own friend Malcolm Ed Tami is the one who said, I'm the one who called the Hawks. I'm the one who called General Biya. And there was also Captain.
So he says he called them because they were not sure if these cops were bogus or not.
Yes. And that's why Mkhwanazi was saying very soon cops were going to shoot at each other. Men in blue were going to, some are the Hawks, But the other important aspect is one of the things that witness C mentioned is that, and this is also too much of a coincidence for me, the head of Hawks, remember General Biya was the head of crime intelligence in Gauteng, the Hawks in Gauteng. It was Lieutenant General Biya before. The other person who's been mentioned is the head of Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal. So these people were actually really two codes. The head of police in KwaZulu-Natal and the head of Hawks, they are on opposite side. The head of the police nationally and his two deputies were on the opposite side. That was very dangerous for the country. I think our security has been seriously compromised. I wonder if the criminal cartels are going to just leave this thing. Because they've been protected. There's a lot at stake. There's human life, there's drugs, there's business or businesses that are involved into this one. There's contracts with government. It's going to be a very difficult task for the good police to clean up the system.
Yes.
That's my observation with this whole thing.
Now, let's move to... So are we done with Madlanga?
Yeah, I think that's where the country is. We'll see. Next week it's November.
But there's also mention that during the raid, the Hawks, when the Hawks came to confirm that the police raid was legit,
Yes.
the witness also lamented the fact that one of the personal security had said that, but Lezang, because we are friends, the minister.
The Minister Mthuni, yes.
Yes.
That came up.
What does that mean for the minister?
Look, first, almost every witness that has come before either the commission or the Adhoc committee have said one thing, one way or the other, negative about Minister Mthuni. I even found a witness that really defended Minister Mthuni, even those that did not say negative things about him or his relation to the so-called comrades or the alleged criminals. When they were asked administrative questions, let me use an example. The legal head of the police, remember the lady, I forgot her name, the white lady, she said she does not know part of that, but if that has happened, it is one illegal and the minister should have not done that. You see, it's not a direct negative statement towards Mr. Mthuni per se.
Yes.
But it's a legal person saying if Mr. Mthuni had that kind of relationship or those engagements, it will be a problem. I think, Fresh, what is going to happen with this whole thing is definitely General CPA is going to be charged. There's coming out evidence that he was directly involved with, some people of the criminal cartels and he used undue influence. Minister Mthuni is going to suffer politically. I think what the outcome of this whole thing is that President Ramaphosa is going to take this report and say to his trusted comrade and say, Comrade Mthuni, I've tried to shield you, but this is in the public space. It is both in Parliament as well as the Commission. I think their notes are going to look similar, and he will sacrifice it. But look, it's going to take long. Already the Adhoc committee is not going to finish end of November. Let's hope end of December. And they will make recommendations.
So,
the Commission, we don't know. They haven't indicated when will they finish. They have already 3 weeks ago stated that they are delayed.
sure.
And they may need extra time. So Minister Mthuni may continue to enjoy the benefits for the next, first trimester of the year, maybe until March, April. However, the risk and the danger is he may face a criminal charges. If the Adhoc committee and the members of the opposition puts this, and depending on the recommendations of the Madlanga Commission, it's not like he will just lose his job. He may face a very serious criminal charges.
And I think if the DA have anything to do with it, they'll make sure.
Yeah, at the moment,
AfriForum.
they will put the AfriForum will do that. AfriForum controversies, EFF to some extent. I think the DA is tarnished at the moment, or even Action SA. They will push a lot for that. But members of the GNU, I don't think they are going to be fighting and pushing for that a lot. Especially the DA, two of the DA members are being mentioned, and we may have more coming up.
Sure.
And I think that's how this whole thing is going to work out and, end up. I think we are going to see quite a number. Anyway, the police are doing their work. We are seeing criminal prosecutions are happening at the moment.
In fact, because one of the things that was lamented also to the Madlanga Commission was the fact that police ballistics are overrun. because there are thousands of ballistics tests that have not been done. There are guns in custody waiting for confirmation that this gun might have been used in many other crimes.
Yes.
And in fact, King, the political killing task team, for instance, managed to link a firearm to different crimes.
Yes.
Between KZN and Gauteng, for instance.
Yes. You are correct. Actually one of the ballistic head is a captain or a brigadier in the ballistics department of the. They are lamenting, and it came out very clear. They are lamenting that they don't have resources that's inadequate. Despite that, the country only has 44 ballistic testers, warm bodies, and so with over 300,000 firearms that they can't be destroyed. Now the gentleman actually even said even the safes are full. The police don't even have space anymore to store recovered firearms, which are suspected to be firearms used in various crimes. Now, the work that was done by the political task team, political killing task team, have actually demonstrated that if things are done expeditiously or timeously, a country can go way forward. You understand? Look, we have heard that the policemen who tried to derail the testing of the AK-47 that was found at the back seat of one of KT Munife's associates. And it is because one of the people who were arrested with KT Munife was a former police person. Now, you remember? And they tried to derail that. But because the task team were very vigilant and they paid attention to this, they managed to make sure that correct ballistic reports are found. And that AK-47 was found actually to say is the one that killed the gentleman in the far,
Aman
Swart.
Yes.
It is the one that killed the former DJ, the late
Somebody.
DJ Somebody, and some hit also in KZN.
Because I was shocked to find that there's at least another 15 cases, including another DJ Vetis.
Yes, DJ Vetis.
Vetis, he survived. And in fact, he, I think, was a resident at Ayep.
Yeah,
and they made a couple of songs together at Sambori.
Yes, I know him very well. I've met him in Abi. He just actually when he was shot, he had just opened a club in Centurion.
How are you?
How are you? Yes, he had just opened. Actually, it was a week after he bought a new car because I was with him. I went there to eat, and I know him, and I was shocked when I heard that guy has been, his life has been threatened. And one of the firearms, you are correct, it's linked to his.
In fact, didn't the witness say that one of the firearms that was recovered found its way back on the street?
Yes, but we know why question. We know if we have corrupt police and a firearm is put in there, it's the police who stole it, to take it back. And again, it's having people that delayed justice. And that's where the problem is. Because if the wheels of justice were turning well-oiled and turning sooner and faster, that firearm would have seen its way to the court because you need it as an exhibit and destroy it immediately after. Especially that when you have reports, even if other can come after, but it's destroyed and it's not stolen from the police. And I think unfortunately with firearms, because there's ballistics that are needed, you can't destroy them. Remember, I once lamented in one of our episodes that why don't police use things like drugs, take videos and photographs, label them and destroy them? Immediately, stop storing them.
No, because you need the hard evidence.
No, but
because someone's going to argue tomorrow, or we don't know where the picture comes from.
Let us amend the law of the country to say if there's 3 or 4 witnesses, they sign that off. There's videos and photos. The same things are recorded on videos when they are going to be destroyed. Let's amend the law to say material evidence in a form of a photo or a video supported by warm bodies testimonies. To that, why do we want to keep dangerous weapons and drugs in a safe where they can be stolen and then they're found their way back into the community? Now, 1 bar of cocaine, it's more than a salary of a police constable for 3 years. Now, do you think a police constable who's supposed to have the access or key to that safe will not risk stealing 1 bar of coke? Then he's set for 3 years. And those are some of, I'm talking about mitigating risks.
Sure.
You mitigate the risks by removing things from the arms and the eyes of the people. The courts in South Africa have adopted a process of what we've been crying about. They call it court filing court. It's
or having physical dockets.
Yeah, than having physical dockets. If I go to court and file a document today, no, I don't have to go to the register, stamp and hard copies. Everything is done online. So you see what they've done. They have mitigated and minimized the risks of dockets disappearing. I don't have to drive to the labor court every other week now, and I'm late for recording the show because I was queuing at the labor court. Do everything online. You gather your documents and you file them. So I think the police system, if I was one of we were going to make recommendations, is to say on dockets, on evidence, especially in firearms and drugs, let us use technology. Let us use technology.
Is there?
No.
So in exactly 3 weeks, the G20 summit will be in Johannesburg.
Yes, sir.
6 days ago, we saw a dry run. I think it was a security dry run.
It's continuing.
And it's continuing. And the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department say that their inner city cleanup campaign will continue beyond the G20 summit. So there's a lot happening.
Yes.
And we had Dada Morero, the executive mayor of Johannesburg, on our radio show. On Famous Fridays about 3 weeks ago.
I missed it.
And he was talking about the fact that, guys, you can say all you want to say, but we've got guests. Can we clean up? And my thing is, it's all good. Let's clean up because the guests are coming. But can we have a culture of no more lawlessness in the city? No more bylaws being disregarded? Can we go back to law and order? It's such a basic thing. Because the lawlessness is because it's been allowed to happen for so long. It's now a habit.
It's a norm.
It's what people know.
Yes.
So if we go back to, you can't sell here, and you can't sell here. Every time you sell here, we're going to remove you, fine you, and maybe even confiscate your stuff.
Yeah.
Eventually, it becomes a habit to know that if I need to trade, there's an area that is designated, that is maintained. Because it's one thing to say to people, you can't sell here. But if you don't have a decent place for them to sell, how am I supposed to eke out an existence or living?
Fresh, what's the problem with big cities in England? And we saw it with New York. We know the beautiful work that the former mayor of New York did when he came with the concept of Giuliani, the broken window syndrome.
Sure.
If I was a mayor, I'll recommend a book. I'll ask all people who are aspiring to be mayors, even though to go and get that book and read it, not to support the guy, but it's a very, very. I've read that book twice. The problem is not only the government failing to render a service. There's also the what we call the culture of people not caring for their resources. If the government is going to clean the streets of Joburg and Soweto and partially Alexander for the G20, it is also the responsibility of the residents of Johannesburg to maintain that cleanness. Sure. Actually, all three metros of Gauteng, major, because there's more metros in Gauteng, but the major Tshwane, Ekurhuleni and Joburg are affected by this G20 visit. I personally think the government is not fair on us as residents to clean up and fix things and mark the roads and switch the lights on and have drills and patrols of VIPs are coming, and they've made 3 airports available, which is Lanseya, OR Tambo and Vonnegut Airport, for those who will be coming with the Air Force One jets from their respective countries. It is not fair on us that, as we go up, cleaning, buying, it is not fair. It is unjust that the government wants to clean up because there are guests coming. It should be a norm that municipalities are maintaining
and
delivering. You understand? I mean, how long have people been lamenting about the streets of Johannesburg are unsafe, are dirty? People just do whatever they want on the street of Joburg. Apparently, I've not been to Joburg in the last 2-3 months, city center. But apparently, the city looks different at the moment, and it's improving every day. And obviously, the ANC and Dada Morero are going to take credit for that. It's fine. It happened under the administration. The other problem is, let's say after the local government election come, and another political party takes over the city. The other political party, instead of continuing the good work, they will want to say, but there was corruption here. No, this was nothing. We'll do it differently. I don't think it's correct. I'm looking at Tshwane, Dr. Nasi Pimoy of the Action SA, supported by EFF and ANC. They're doing a good job.
Sure.
The residents of Tshwane are happy. And I think what aided them is not to focus on the wrongs of the DA.
Sure.
And then they focus on what
needs to be done.
What is to be done.
Yes.
And I think that's how people should take over government administration. What needs to be done moving here forward. But this a drill of the G20. Hey, I was caught up in one traffic because of that. And you know what? There's something that I saw, if law is enforced. You spoke about law enforcement and bylaw. Because of this drill, I've never seen taxi drivers behaving like that. So there are those that they respect.
It's enforcement. The long and the short is visibility is proven to change how people behave.
Yes.
And without visibility, people get away with things. And if we have enough visibility, whether Kemapanyaza, who obviously have been disbanded over the next 3 years, or it's Metro Police, or it's SAPS, and to a certain extent, like some people have even said, why can't you bring in the army to help clean up the inner city and to take back illegally occupied buildings? Visibility changes behavior. If you have enough visibility long enough, eventually the behavior changes. So unfortunately, we can't have one without the other, because you can blame citizens for getting away with murder and littering and not caring about the environment. It's because we've allowed it to happen. And unfortunately, we don't have shame anymore. We don't have ditlhong. We don't have...
Something's frustrating you what I see when what happens, especially coming from a transport background. What I see, what's happening on the road, especially look, my dad had a taxi. I've got family members who are taxi drivers, some are owners. I don't have problem with taxi people. And I think organizations like Santago, National Taxi Affiliation, they're also not doing enough. The conduct and the behavior of taxi drivers, minibus taxi drivers, now even Uber people have become like them, driving on the emergency lane, overtaking and unruly and all those. But sometimes these things, I saw on Thursday morning when I was driving to the radio station, I understand, because early in the morning, 3 taxi minibuses and some Ubers, there was a police van, not metro, not traffic, SAPS van, driving next to me. These people were just breaking the law. And I looked at the police to say, you are law enforcers. We are allowed to enforce the law. We are the only law enforcers that can enforce the law in the whole country on any crime. And this was happening in front of the police. Yes, maybe they were going somewhere for another business. But law enforcement is the problem in South Africa, and it has made people to be lawless.
Yes.
And again, when you arrest them, they go to court and they send you to court. But I've been doing this for 3 years. The Metro Police, the mayor, but they never harassed each.
Jig and NPO is going to get involved.
Yeah, then the NPOs will come in and they will go and support the alleged criminals or wrongdoers in court. And that's another problem. We have politically allowed, even judicially allowed NPOs to rewrite the laws of this country because we fail to enforce the laws of this country. And that's a challenge we are facing.
Do you think we are going to get the full benefits of a G20 summit happening in this country? Or is it just going to be a short
experience? And I don't want to be negative. Experience as to how many more summits do we have? We have been invited and participated as South Africa in a lot of international forums where no other African state have been part to. Look at BRICS. We haven't seen benefit of our membership and our participation in various international bodies that the benefit filters down to an average South African. And for me, I will say this international participation and activities, I will say they are bearing fruits even if it's a little percentage of ordinary South Africans benefiting to those processes, not in terms of loans or the so-called foreign direct investors who come to exploit. In terms of people in Matuba, Matatiele, Liwuruti, or Musina, anywhere in the country saying, out of the G20, this government or this organization has decided to aid or work with South Africa in improving the lives of people at a certain point or in a certain township. If it does not go to the downtrodden people of this country, I think it will just be a talk show. I mean, the other day, President Ramaphosa had a very big international summit on job creations in South Africa, and investors were there. You remember where the boy who was making happy socks, well, they were not called happy socks, but there's another brand, gave him a pair of socks and said, Mr. President, here's a pair for you, and advertise it for me, open opportunities. We don't know where's that boy at the moment. You understand? If we do not do economic and human upliftment of people in South Africa due to our international engagements, then we are not winning. Let me make an example of some of the international engagements we embarked on as a country. Our AIDS HIV program, it's one of the highlights of we did a good job there.
Yes.
Because we had the Chinese in, we had the Brazilians in, we had the Americans, we had all people that we have diplomatic relations in. And we are a member of the WHO, the World Health Organization. And we could see how South Africa moved from, at some stage, fresh. At some stage, this country was saying to be the world number one on HIV/AIDS.
And thanks to good governance and management and PEPFAR funding.
Exactly. And despite PEPFAR, there was a lot of, collected effort. And I recall one of the things we did as the South African Embassy in Brazil was to engage the Brazilians over and over on how did they handle the issue of HIV and AIDS. And when we wrote the reports to the country under the leadership of President Mbeki and subsequently of President Zuma, those reports, those inputs, those international engagements, they were implemented. It was not just talk shows. And we saw the benefit. We can see the South African position on HIV and it's just one of the examples I can use to say it does work if implemented. But let's hope, I don't want to be negative, let's hope the G20 hosting it. We are just the host, by the way. And remember, we are not even a member of the G20.
Yeah.
We are number 21 there. And I sometimes think international organizations are taking advantage of the volatile, excited South Africa to host these events.
Sure.
We are one of the first so-called developing or third world countries that hosted years back what used to be called remember the World Sustainable Development on Environment and all that. We are one of the first developing countries to host that.
Yeah.
We actually, either we gave the baiting to Brazil or Brazil gave us the baiting. You understand? One of that. But until today, we're still battling. It's as way back as 20 years, we hosted that event. And it talked about energy regeneration, solar, wind, and all that. We hosted it.
Sure.
We came with good documents, or they were produced in our land. What did we do? Until load shedding happened. Uncontrolled load shedding. 15 years after we had that document, load shedding happened when we had a blueprint of what should we do.
And a white paper.
That
came out regarding what needs to happen.
Exactly. So for me, I want to say South Africa must learn to we are the first African country member of BRICS. We're leading actually there as well. And we didn't take advantage of BRICS enough, especially with the 6th and the 7th administration. We should learn to put paper into practice. Then the country will move forward. I mean, with the resources we have, the technology, the infrastructure we have as a country, we shouldn't be battling so badly with youth unemployment. It is very bad. And we are not taking advantage of international cooperation deals that we have entered into over the number of years. We're not taking advantage of it.
And in fact, speaking of, how South Africa has successfully dealt with HIV, one of the stories that we covered on the radio show the other day was a new report revealing severe strain on public health care due to the PEPFAR funding cuts. 326 clinics report reduced capacity, nearly 50%, and staff shortages 85%, leading to day-long waits for HIV treatment. So we're already starting to see and feel the effects of PEPFAR funding being cut by the Trump administration. And I remember Minister Motsoaledi had said that we will cover.
We'll cover and we can raise
the shortfalls, because in the bigger scheme of things, when you look at what the budget is for HIV treatment versus what PEPFAR was contributing, it's not a lot. There's not a lot of money.
I think Minister Motsoaledi was promised the money by the Minister of Finance that they not got on.
Sure.
I don't know what happened to that. I didn't follow the story, but you are right. There's an impact that the country can contain.
And my worry is because South Africa was literally on the way to attaining 95,
Yeah.
which is basically 95% people tested and knowing the statuses, and 95% of those being on treatment. And 95% of those reaching viral suppression.
Yes.
Because that's how you're going to get an HIV-free generation.
That was an excellent program. Eh? That was one of the best programs they've produced in there. And it had targets.
Sure.
And they were moving. They were really moving. And I just think and pray that we don't drop the ball.
Sure.
We've got other new diseases, diabetes and heart attacks and obesity have become our new problem in South Africa, which leads to death and drugs and, youth being in drugs. So let's not drop the ball on the HIV and AIDS.
I don't think the ball will drop also because I think there's now a new drug.
Yeah.
If you're HIV negative and you take, it's Lenacapavir, I think, or Len, then it's literally an HIV prevention drug for negative people.
Yes.
You have to be negative. And
Just to take it.
It's an injection twice a year.
Yeah, but
And it's being piloted in this country. And then from next year, as much as there are limited vials of the vaccine, and they'll find communities that need it the most, people who are most likely to be exposed to HIV. So I think South Africa is still on track.
I hope we remain on track.
I don't think I don't think we have a choice.
But
I don't think we have a choice. And I think
changes in the country. Somebody may see other things being more important than the budget of health. Like we compromise with security and the military. I think the government should go and do. And I don't like quoting President Mbeki. People will think, but under his administration, one thing they did, they used to have 5 key. Any key. What is our priorities at the moment? Taking not historical, not what the ANC played, taking into consideration what is the situation in the country. And President Mbeki will sit in front of us as functionaries and say, you gave me this 5, deliver 3. Delete 3, it's a no-go area. You deliver 3. The other 2, you can come and negotiate. And I think we must start doing that. At the moment in South Africa now, it's unemployment, it's security, education, health, and corruption. That if we have those things, we are going to divert our efforts and energy into that. Some people may bring other things like food security and water, which are basic needs, but many things are being taken care of. Our education system and syllabus and infrastructure, it's not where it's supposed to be. It's not that bad, but it's not bad. Understand? It's not bad. So we may start shifting things from unnecessary things like tourism that brings money into, for an example, security, domestic security, borderline security. I think, for me, I'm concerned about security than any other thing in South Africa.
Absolutely. Let's go to Cameroon.
Yes.
President Biya just got his 8th term as president. President Biya is about to turn 93. It is not 93 already. And Cameroonian youth generally not happy. And in fact, I asked the question, did he win the election or was the election stolen? I mean, the fact that even his daughter a month ago was on a podcast, in fact, I think she was on a TikTok live saying to Cameroonian youth, don't vote for my father.
Yeah.
We are sick and tired of dictators.
How old is the daughter?
She's a rapper.
She's a musician, yeah.
She's a rapper.
Is she a youth or she's old?
She's young.
How young? Fresh, what is young? When you're 40, you're not young, man.
I'll let me find out quickly how old she is.
If the president Biya is 92 going to 93 or whatever, and the daughter may be 50, you understand? So
no, she's young. She's a youth.
She's a youth. And the youth of Cameroon probably they listen to her. But Fresh, we spoke about this. It's sad and it's hating what is happening in the continent. I mean that gentleman has been in.
Anastasia Brenda Biya is 28 years old.
She's young.
She's a child.
So this man has been busy at an old age.
Absolutely.
He had a child at 70-something.
Yeah.
Well, let me keep quiet. My favorite president in South Africa, that this has a 5-year-old child. So let me not be surprised. But anyway, look, there's no way with what is happening in the world at the moment, Fresh, that the elections were not rigged in Cameroon. And I've seen the EU, the AU, and the ECOWAS and all that calling for Comm. this international, but they call for calm when the people have just been robbed of their, in inverted commas, democratic right. Understand? A country that is having very big youth numbers, most of African countries, the majority of the people are youths. And you think anybody, I mean, if you are 43 years old, President Biya has been in power for over 43 years. So actually, you have known one president since you were born. A 43-year-old person.
Yeah.
Now, I think they were rigged. And I also looked at, we spoke about it, we expected it, but not at this magnitude. I also looked at his primary positions people, the Prime Minister, the head of the judiciary, the Speaker of Parliament. You know, the youngest person, they're 78 years old.
I can believe that.
The youngest. The rest are in their 80s and 89, 90. And again, what kind of leadership do we breed in this continent that people want to hang on to power, even when they don't know that they're in power? You remember I spoke to you about the incident where President Biya was on a rotational base, the chairperson of the African Union.
Oh, yes. And he looked like he didn't know where he was.
No, he didn't look like. Actually, they were sitting, he was supposed to chair the proceedings, and he was sitting there, and unfortunately for him and his aide, the microphones were live.
Yes.
And he asked the aide, what's going on, where am I, and what, so no, we're in the AU meeting, and he said, okay, what should I do? He said, you should read, and he pushed the paper to it, and the mics were live. So this is the man who doesn't know where he is. He has been more in France hospital because of his age. That old man, he can't remember things. He probably doesn't even know that he is a president.
Yes.
And you take that person, you want to make him in charge of a country as good and important, historically and in mineral wealth as well, like Cameroon. I think they are calling for trouble. I think also they don't have their own people. Because obviously there's going to be riots. Obviously people already, by the first day when the elections were announced, 4 people were killed on that day. And now where's the Minister of Interior, who's also almost an octogenarian, has now threatening to jail the leader of the opposition to say they incited violence. And he'll be jailed on charge with terrorism and inciting violence. You can see how it's getting worse.
Surely the violence is incited by you hanging on to power and stealing elections.
That's inciting violence.
Surely that's what's inciting the violence.
Inciting violence, it's when international bodies approve that elections should go ahead by allowing a president who keeps on goalpost shifting. Every time the elections come, President Biya changes the constitution of the country. Understand? And I think that's where the problem is. We should not even allow these elections to happen.
But who are we not to allow them? Because it's a sovereign state.
They belong to the African Union.
Yeah.
Why doesn't the African Union, as a continental mother body, pass regulations, not just towards elections, have a rule, have a resolution binding all member states to say nobody above the age of 70 should contest elections?
There was a peer review mechanism within the AU. Yes, that I've never seen anyone say, these are the peers whose governance were reviewed and we called them out and these are the results. Already there's a peer review mechanism in place.
But
who's using it?
But you know what happened? The authors of the peer review mechanism, President Abdullah, I think he was from Algiers, President Mbeki, the former president of Nigeria, and a few others, when they left office, that African peer review mechanism died or left with it.
Exactly, because they're leaders who are self-serving at a level that a peer review mechanism would call them out on the BS.
Yes. And again, and I've said this over and over, the problem with international bodies like starting with the United Nations Organization, the African Union, SADC for us, they don't have binding policies to say we have agreed on this, a positive thing, an administrative thing. If one of our members will fail to adhere to what we collectively agreed upon, it must not be this theme of absolute consensus, because that's what they use. They use what we call absolute consensus. It must be the majority. If the majority of the AU member states agree on a thing, it must be a binding law. If we don't adhere...
But what are you going to do? Invade my country?
No, not invade.
What?
Sanctions? We sanction you, we check you out, we put pressure on you. that you don't have to invade. It's a sovereign state.
So like imperialists now, you're going to isolate them.
Yes, you do that. Why not? Agree, you agreed. You were part of the agreement.
What if I refuse to sign? What happens there?
Yeah, those who refuse about the majority. That's what I'm saying. At the moment, the problem is we are using an absolute consensus. And I'm saying that's nonsense, absolute consensus. They should do what the EAC, East African Community, although it's few member states, Tanzania and others, they've got a parliament. It has laws and rules that bind the member states. So if there are 7 and 5 agree, these 2 will have to do and it's a binding agreement. Understand? So there's no invasion. Tanzania will not invade Kenya. Tanzania can't invade Rwanda. Remember when the EAC had a problem with President Kagame towards the TRC thing? They held him, they put him here and said, neighbor, member, they're not supposed to do A, B, C, D, and E. We hear your concerns, but we, as the parliament of the EAC, we are resolving to handle this matter according to our regulations. And what did President Kagame did? I know the meeting was in Arusha, chaired by Tanzania. President Kagame adhered to what they said. So I'm saying this thing of brotherhood, gentleman agreement, doesn't work. It doesn't work. Have a binding resolution like the United Nations Security Council.
It's not going to happen.
Oh, my brother.
We talk about, we dream of a united Africa, no borders. It's not in the interest of a lot of these leaders that we are one. It's not. Because then they can't eat nicely.
Yeah, there's a problem.
You must stay out of my country, stay out of my business, stay out of my affairs, and let me eat nicely.
Look, I believe it will happen. Maybe not in our lifetime, me and you, but I believe it will happen.
That's why I always say, until every single country pull their own weight, that incentivizes that people to stay home.
Yes.
You can't have an open border system because it's literally going to be a trek south.
Yeah.
If you have an open border system, it'll be a trek south.
Absolutely.
And we should have an Africa where you want to stay home because we're growing, we're building. There's opportunities. Legislation does not create hoops you must jump through.
Yes.
I can stay in my home village and plow land and create food, either as a subsistence farmer or for my village or for my country. Until we have an Africa operating at that level, forget, the borders are staying closed.
When people leave their country, it should be for tourism, it should be for studying, it should be for an opportunity, but they always look forward to come back.
It must never be out of desperation.
It must never be out of desperation. I mean, when I look at the situation in Zimbabwe, I know it's the cost mainly of sanctions.
Yes.
But Zimbabweans also have to be blamed themselves for allowing President Mugabe that I liked for staying in power for so long, even when he was no longer delivering what he initially promised. You understand?
Yes.
The dream of Zimbabwe. I mean, I tell people and youngsters that when I was at school in the early 80s, Zimbabwe was called, when I started studying economics at 8, we wrote papers on Zimbabwe being the economic basket.
The bread
of SADC.
Yes.
The bread basket of SADC. I remember South Africa at some stage we ran out of maize meal.
Yes.
And we had to import maize meal from Zimbabwe. Whoever dreamt? Because we had to eat the yellow maize meal. And I only learned at the time, I was in my 12, 13, 14 years of age. And I only learned that time that the yellow maize is actually healthier than the white one.
Yes.
But we're importing as this country. And remember, we are under apartheid. We're importing maize meal from Zimbabwe.
There was even a song, yellow, 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 yellow meal.
Yes.
Remember that bubblegum song?
And look at what happened to that country. Yeah. Rich in minerals, diamond, one of the leading countries with agriculture in the world. They are coming back. They are under economic embargo and sanctions because ZANU-PF is still refusing to bow to the imperialists. But it's a lesson that if we don't have good leadership, visionary leadership, we'll end up like that.
That's why I will always concede that we can't discount the sanctions on the Mugabe government and on Zimbabwe. We can't discount them. We can never discount them.
Yes.
But even within trying times of sanctions, you still need someone who has the people's general interest.
Yes.
Because then that becomes the differentiators.
The people will stand by you.
Yes.
The people will say, we will feed ourselves and do a little with what we have. So we are seeing it in Burkina Faso at the moment. They are under sanctions. They took power through a military coup. But the Burkinabes are behind President Traoré. Why? Because he has put their interest first. He has reignited the Thomas Sankara oath of leadership.
Sure.
And that's what the kind of leaders we need.
We're out of time. Okay, we need to go to China. China passed a controversial new law. It says only influencers with a degree or in a relevant field can discuss professional topics online, topics like medicine, law, or finance.
Or did they? Oh, I didn't know Is it an example, or they limited to the topics?
No, anything that requires you to be a qualified person in that field.
I'm a geopolitical analyst.
So in other words, if you're not qualified, you should not be expressing that opinion online, is what the Chinese government are saying.
Yeah.
And supporters are saying it will cut misinformation and raise content standards. But obviously critics are saying state censorship dressed as quality control should never be allowed.
Well, first, my first hand info from that is that why limit it to academic qualifications? I think it has an element of censorship to some extent.
That's why I don't agree with it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. If you want to control recklessness or looseness, we have experienced it in South Africa just recently when we had these influencers talking about getting jobs in Russia. And you remember it caused an uproar in the country where the Russian government said, we don't know about this. They're required to run around to find information. And it's dangerous because it could have led to human trafficking and other things. That's important. But I don't agree with the Chinese in this instance to limit it to academic qualification. Yes, you can make it as a prerequisite. But what about somebody who is self-taught? There is no, and let me use us as an example. There is no academic qualification that is teaching people to be political analysts. There's no degree at the university. You can study political science.
You can study political science.
Yes, but I can tell you, I know more of geopolitics. And I understand politics more than many people who have a degree in political science, which I don't have. My qualification is a basic public administration. I'm saying if the government was doing that in order to control and discipline people, we must take into consideration the expertise of people. Sure. Like in South Africa, to get to a job or to a higher learning institution, there's something that was brought in by SAQA, South African Qualification Authority, together with the institutions called RPL, the required prior learning. Understand? So people sometimes gain experience practically or they've been through the trenches.
So I'm posting about my life experiences.
Even
and in that regard, I'm a PhD in me.
Yes. And by the way, when you opinionate, when you are asked or when you give or you even if it is not solicited, when you volunteer information based on your experience, it does not mean you are saying you are right. You are saying based on what I do. Yes, for me. You are not forcing anybody to do it. But one thing that people must learn to do, I remember you introduced it very late on this podcast. I think 3 or 4 months after. I didn't think about it thanks to you. Disclaimers are very important.
Yes.
That people don't read them, it's not your problem. Put a disclaimer. If you've got a podcast or you've got a TikTok, whatever it's called, put a disclaimer.
Sure.
That what I am saying here, it's my view, it's my opinion, and all the nice stories that people write.
And you know how else you can actually govern what goes on social media? You have cyber legislation that is enforced.
Yes.
Because that could be the remedy. That if we feel that what you've done or said was not in the public's interest, and if anything was disinformation, misinformation,
yes,
or endangered people who might be exposed to your opinions, they'd rather deal with it at that level.
Yes.
I'd rather you deal with it at that level than you censor people.
Yeah, no, don't censor people. Like we have you mentioned cyber legislation, like we have the one for communication, the one that is CASA regulation, something like that. You understand? What can you dish out to the public? How is it managed? And what are the repercussions in case you have done or pass laws that will protect both the communicator and the recipient?
And enforce them.
Yes.
Because I often see people on social media literally just tweeting out of the side of their mouths.
No.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, if the person this is about even understood half the cyber legislation, you can have that person thrown in jail based on the new legislation.
There's a lot of people doing wrong on social media. I've developed a thick skin to ignore. In the past, thanks to you and few people who taught me, ignore. You know the day you said to me, don't answer. Leave them. It works. It's just to irritate me and I'll respond. The next thing I'll have to take a person to court.
Sure.
But there's a lot of legislation that I think we need in the country. One of them, in terms of what the Chinese have done now, it's, for example, one of the things that have become reckless. It's the, what do you call it, drones. People buy drones as toys. They have cameras, they record. The other day, being Botsang, it was raining, I was naked in my garden, then there was a drone flying. You understand? Where is the limit? Where is the limit? If I'm naked on my balcony, or even in my house and the window is open and somebody flies a drone and record me, the next thing I'll be in a porn show, and because people can do AI and match things. But like I'm saying, drones are used as weapons now.
But that's why you need a license to fly a drone.
Exactly.
You need to be licensed, and a lot of people are buying them as toys.
Yes, and even when you are licensed, what are you doing with it?
Yes.
Understand? Because drones have become part of our life. I mean, there's drones that are transporting medicines, transplants parts to people to save lives. Very important. Now I can just walk into any electronics store, buy a drone, and record anything that I want to record without people knowing who's the controller or the owner of that drone.
Maybe they need to start doing what they do with firearms. So that when you buy a firearm, that firearm and any ballistic signature is linked to you. And your license.
Yes.
So maybe start doing similar with drones.
Yes. So we should start doing that
and
now.
Maybe even if we have to have tracing and tracking of drones,
who will know?
So that if a drone is flying in a certain area it's not meant to be flying in, we can link it to this person that bought it. If we need to go that far, we must go that far.
Yes.
If people are going to be reckless with drones.
Yes, I think we should do that. Like firearms, even drones. When you buy a firearm, you buy it, then you go for training and licensing before you can collect it.
Competency, yeah.
Yes, you must come with a license and a competence certificate before you collect the firearm. I think the same regulations must be introduced to drones, because drones are weapons these days.
Sure.
Understand? I mean, who knows, I'll buy a drone and plant a bomb on it and fly into somebody's house. And that person would not know who actually owned that drone. They will start blaming the military or intelligence services. Country, it's a private person who has done that. Sure. Yeah.
Another dope show.
Yeah.
We're out of time.
Next week what we must talk about.
Yeah.
And it's very close to my heart, the situation in Brazil. But we are out of time.
Oh, yeah. There's riots.
I think a lot is going to happen. It's not even riots, it's a war. Well, what has been declared, the United Nations have even thrown in the Human Rights Council of the UN is there. And it's chaos in Brazil. And it's a war between the drug lords and the police. And the reason I want us to talk about it next week in detail, even if it will be old news, it is to try and bring an alert, and awareness to say, if police start being friends with drug cartels, it will end up the way it is in Rio, in Brazil at the moment. It's a very dangerous terrain that when policemen start becoming governors and superintendents start becoming friends and they share drinks with people who are known to be drug dealers.
Sure.
People must go and read and search what happened in Brazil this week. It is painful and shame, but we can talk about it next week.
Where do we find it?
Remember, I've got interest there.
No, because I get you ambassador there and you left
not ambassador. I was
not ambassador, but you worked for the...
And Botsang Mwilwa is the junior, not me, the other one. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, at least you know of one child you left there.
How many would I have?
We won't know. We will not get.
Anyway, Presh, reach me on botsang@gmail.com on my email address, and on WhatsApp it's 083-884-7787. And it's WhatsApp only, and on social media handles are all at Botsang.
So reach out to Botsang on that number for book sales, or if you feel maybe DNA test is true.
There will never be DNA test. My last born is getting old. I'm done, bro.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, as always, for being a part of WAW What a Week, #PoliTricks with Fresh and Botsang. Please comment, like, subscribe, share, talk about it, take it to the office, have conversations there. But most importantly, your comments in the comment section are very important. Let's keep these conversations going, because that's how we find each other, by sharing ideas, by disagreeing with respect, and hopefully helping each other change our minds as and when we get new data. Shout out to Trevor and his crew at Pezulu Works, also to Discover TV. That's where we are. Let them be your stage for your podcast, for your DJ mix. Trevor and his crew can even come to your wedding because it's wedding season now. They'll turn your wedding into a memorable movie when you are done. Shout out to Keleso Mudisa Gang, our executive producer, and obviously to you. Till next week, have a wow week in spite of yourselves. We are out of here.